Why Stewart's Big Bang Theory spin-off hasn't been greenlit yet, explained by studio exec. When The Big Bang Theory ended in 2019, few characters left as quietly beloved as Stuart Bloom, the awkward but endearingly tragic owner of the comic book store. Played by Kevin Sussman, Stuart had become something of a cult favorite by the show's later seasons, a lovable underdog surrounded by geniuses, trying and often failing to find his place. So when rumors surfaced that Warner Bros. And Chuck Lorre Productions were developing a Stuart spin-off, fans rejoiced. Finally, the franchise would spotlight its most overlooked geek. Yet years later, there's still no green light. No trailer, no production start, no release window. The project, reportedly in development alongside other Big Bang Theory universe entries, remains in limbo. So what happened? Why hasn't Stuart moved forward while young Sheldon flourished, and while the new Georgie and Mandy spin-off Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage is already filming? According to an inside source, a Warner Bros. Television studio exec familiar with the project, the holdup isn't due to lack of interest, but rather a complex mix of tone, timing, and franchise fatigue. In short, the studio doesn't quite know what kind of show Stuart's story should be. He's a supporting character, not a lead, and that's both the problem and the charm. Stuart works beautifully when he's bouncing off the others, the studio exec explained. He's self-deprecating, insecure, and quietly funny. But when you take away Sheldon, Howard, and Raj, the question becomes, what's the story about? That's the central challenge. Stuart was never meant to be a lead. In The Big Bang Theory, he was the straight man in a circus of exaggerated personalities. His shop provided a colorful setting for comic debates, awkward dates, and the guys' social hangouts. But beyond that, Stuart's life was intentionally static. He was perpetually broke, unlucky in love, and drifting. Turning that kind of character into a protagonist means inventing a trajectory that never existed. It's not that audiences wouldn't watch him, the exec clarified. It's that we'd need to build an entire world around him, new friends, new conflicts, maybe even a different tone. And when you do that, it risks not feeling like The Big Bang Theory anymore. Indeed, while young Sheldon succeeded by leaning into family dramedy rather than laugh-track comedy, it still had the brand power of Sheldon Cooper, one of TV's most recognizable figures. Stuart, by contrast, is more of a niche favorite, a supporting comic relief character beloved by diehards but not a mainstream draw. The question of tone, sitcom, dramedy, or geek noir? Reportedly, several versions of the Stuart pitch have circulated internally, each testing a different tone. One version envisioned a classic multi-camera sitcom, think Cheers in a comic book store, with Stuart mentoring a new generation of nerds while still struggling with adulthood. Another leaned darker and more introspective, exploring loneliness, failure, and the small victories of creative life in Los Angeles. There was even one draft that played like High Fidelity meets The Big Bang Theory, the exec revealed. Stuart narrating to the camera, unpacking pop culture, relationships, and nostalgia from behind the counter. While each approach had potential, none felt definitive enough to justify a full greenlight. We don't want to make just another Big Bang spin-off, the exec said. We want something that feels fresh but authentic, something that deepens the universe rather than repeats it. That creative uncertainty has kept the project in development limbo. Every iteration raises a new question. Should the show be funny first or emotional first? Should it retain the laugh track or shift to single-camera realism like young Sheldon? The wrong choice could alienate both legacy fans and new viewers. Franchise fatigue and the pressure of success. Another factor slowing the spin-off's progress is simple timing. The Big Bang Theory universe is currently undergoing a delicate expansion phase. Young Sheldon remains one of CBS's top performers, but it's entering its final season. Meanwhile, Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage has been fast-tracked as the next chapter in the franchise, focusing on a new generation of Coopers. Launching another spin-off simultaneously, especially one centered on a secondary character from the original show rather than young Sheldon, risks oversaturating the market. The audience needs breathing room, the exec admitted. We're still transitioning from young Sheldon to the next era. Doing Stuart right now might confuse the brand. Is it nostalgia for The Big Bang Theory? Is it a continuation? Is it its own thing? Until we can answer that cleanly, we wait. This isn't new for the Big Bang universe. In the years since 2019, Chuck Lorre's team has reportedly fielded multiple spin-off ideas, including a Penny prequel, a Howard-centric miniseries, and even an animated adaptation of Sheldon's childhood stories. Most of these ideas, though discussed, never advanced to script stage. The reason? The bar for another Big Bang spin-off is sky high. Young Sheldon wasn't just successful, it became one of CBS's crown jewels, winning awards and critical praise. Any follow-up must either match or meaningfully contrast that success. As the exec put it, "We can't make a smaller show after Young Sheldon. We can only make a different one." Kevin Sussman's career shift also complicates timing. Another under-the-radar reason the Stuart spin-off hasn't advanced lies with Kevin Sussman himself. In recent years, Sussman has diversified his career, appearing in acclaimed dramas like The Dropout and Call Me Kat, and even pursuing writing and producing opportunities. "He's very open to returning, but it has to be the right project," said the exec. He doesn't want to rehash Stuart as a sad sack stereotype. He wants the character to evolve, to have hope, growth, even romance. Sussman's perspective reportedly aligns with Chuck Lorre's evolving creative vision. Post-Big Bang, Lorre has shifted toward more nuanced comedies like Disjointed and How to Be a Bookie, both of which blend humor with melancholy. A Stuart spin-off in that tone could work, but it would also mean moving away from the traditional sitcom rhythm fans associate with The Big Bang Theory. That tonal pivot, though promising artistically, presents marketing challenges. Would CBS audiences expecting punchlines stay for quiet, character-driven storytelling? Or would it be better suited for Max, Warner Bros. Streaming platform, where shows like The Flight Attendant and Our Flag Means Death thrive on genre blending? According to internal chatter, the studio hasn't decided. It might live better on Max, the exec admitted, but if it's a network comedy, it has to be funnier and lighter. That's a tough balance to strike. The studio's balancing act, legacy versus innovation, at the heart of the delay is a familiar Hollywood dilemma: how to expand a beloved franchise without diluting it. The Big Bang Theory ran for 12 seasons and remains one of the most watched sitcoms in syndication. That legacy brings both opportunity and risk. A Stuart spinoff would immediately benefit from built-in nostalgia. Longtime fans would tune in to see familiar sets, props, and Easter eggs, perhaps even cameos from Howard, Raj, or Bernadette. But lean too heavily on nostalgia, and the show risks feeling derivative. "We've seen what happens when legacy sitcoms lean on cameos instead of story," the exec noted, referencing mixed receptions to How I Met Your Father and That 90s Show. Audiences want emotional continuity, not just familiar faces. Stuart has to stand on his own. That's why the development team reportedly keeps revisiting one core question: what does Stuart want? During The Big Bang Theory, he often drifted from one misadventure to the next, living with Howard's mother, running the comic shop, dating awkwardly. But a series needs propulsion. If Young Sheldon was about intellect and identity, then Stuart needs its own thematic engine, perhaps redemption, second chances, or late-blooming self-worth. A peek at what could be. The pilot that never was. Interestingly, a half-hour Stuart pilot was drafted during early Young Sheldon seasons, though it never reached production. According to those who've read it, the story opened with Stuart trying to modernize his comic book store after a competitor opens across the street. The pilot reportedly featured cameos from Howard,